Christmas Eve should smell like cinnamon, sound like soft carols, and feel like warmth. But that night smelled like cold air. It sounded like my daughter's teeth quietly chattering, and the warmth belonged to everyone except her. I didn't expect to walk into that house. I didn't expect to find my daughter, my Emily, curled in a corner near the back door, arms wrapped around herself, coat still on, shivering. And I didn't expect to watch her husband's family, laughing, drinking, and toasting by the fireplace so hot the stockings above it fluttered from the heat, while my daughter was left out like a stray dog someone forgot to let in. My heart cracked so sharply I felt the sound inside my chest. But I should start from the beginning, because stories like this don't come out of nowhere. They start slow, quiet, little details ignored until they turn into a storm. This storm began 2 years earlier, the day my daughter married Daniel Weston. The day I lost my daughter to the Westons. The Westons were a big-name family in their town, wealthy, polished, strict, the kind of people who hosted charity dinners where no one actually cared about the charity. They owned 3 restaurants, 2 rental properties, and 1 enormous house with white pillars that made it look like a courthouse. From the first day I met them, something in my stomach tightened. They looked at my daughter like she was a guest who overstayed her welcome. Emily was gentle, warm, the kind of girl who baked cookies for neighbors and knitted scarves for friends. She wasn't flashy or loud. Maybe that's what attracted Daniel in college. A softness his world didn't have. But once the wedding was over, everything changed. The Westons swallowed her whole. They chose the house, they gifted the couple, they chose the furniture. They chose the career path Daniel should take. They even tried to choose when they should have children. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that touch the heart and remind us of life's quiet miracles, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It truly helps our little storytelling family grow. And slowly, Emily stopped choosing anything at all. She stopped painting, stopped calling as often, stopped coming home for holidays. "I'm just busy, Mom," she said. "I'll visit soon. I promise." But the promise always broke. I told myself she was building her life. I told myself she was happy. I told myself mothers worry too much. But mothers also know. Somewhere between her forced smiles and quiet pauses, I felt my daughter slipping away. The phone call before Christmas. On December 23rd, she called me. Her voice was small, too small. "Mom." "Yes, sweetheart." Will you come tomorrow?" To their Christmas Eve dinner. Surprised me. The Westons had never invited me. They didn't approve of people who live in rental apartments and teachers who barely make ends meet. But the way Emily asked, soft, shaky, I knew it wasn't her idea. "Did they ask me to come?" I gently asked. A long pause. "No," she whispered. "But I want you there. Not for celebration. Not for a family gathering. No." She needed me. "Of course, baby," I said. "I'll be there early. Do you hear me? Early." She let out a breath that almost sounded like relief. If I had known what I'd walk into, I would have come even earlier. The Weston Christmas Mansion. The Weston house looked like something from a holiday magazine. Giant wreath on the door, golden lights across the roof, snow shoveled into neat, clean paths. But beauty means nothing if there's rot underneath. The moment I stepped inside, the warmth hit me. Expensive heat, smell of roasted turkey, sound of laughter. But only one thing mattered. Where was my daughter? Daniel's mother, Linda, greeted me first. She was wearing pearls thicker than my thumb. "Oh, Emily didn't tell me you were coming," she said, voice trained to sound polite but not welcoming. "It was a last-minute decision," I replied, trying to keep my tone even. She smiled wide. Too wide. Fake wide. "Well, make yourself comfortable. We're all in the living room." She gestured toward the fireplace, where a group of relatives sat cozy, holding hot chocolate, wearing matching pajamas with their family crest. But I didn't go there. My feet moved on their own. Past the dining table. Past the lit hallway. Toward the back of the house. toward the cold draft I felt from a distance. And that's when I saw her. My daughter in the cold. Emily was sitting on a small wooden bench beside the mudroom door, knees pulled up, arms wrapped tight around her chest. Her cheeks were red from cold. Her fingers looked stiff. Her coat was still on. Her shoes were wet. She looked like she had been outside. "Emily," I whispered. Her head jerked up. For a second she looked scared of being seen. Then her eyes softened when she saw me. "Mom," she breathed, lips trembling. I rushed to her, dropping to my knees. "What happened? Why are you sitting here? Why are you shivering?" She forced a smile. The saddest smile I'd ever seen. They said there wasn't enough space in the living room. My stomach twisted so sharply I tasted bitterness. "What do you mean? The room is huge." "I know," she whispered. "But Daniel's cousins took the seats, and his mother said it would be better if I didn't crowd everyone. She said I could sit here until dinner was ready." She swallowed hard. "It's been an hour. An hour. In the cold. While everyone inside enjoyed a roaring fire." I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. "Why didn't Daniel say something?" I asked. Her eyes glistened. "He's trying not to upset them. Not her. Never her." I took her freezing hands and rubbed them. "Baby, you're ice cold. Why didn't you call me?" "I didn't want to ruin their holiday," she whispered. My voice cracked. "And what about your holiday?" She blinked fast, trying not to cry. "I don't really get one." The confrontation. I helped her stand, but before we could leave the hallway, Daniel's mother appeared, eyebrows raised. "Oh, Emily, there you are. I told you not to block the walkway. That's enough." My voice was low, colder than the draft behind us. She blinked as if surprised I could speak. "You left her in the cold." "What? It's just the mudroom." And she wasn't left. She was sitting outside. Emily whispered softly, eyes down. "I was outside for a while, before I came back in." Daniel's mother stiffened, clearly annoyed she had admitted it. "Well, she wanted fresh air," she said sharply. "No," I replied. "What she wanted was to belong. But clearly, you only make room in that living room for people you consider worthy." Her lips thinned. "We're doing our best to include her." I stepped closer, voice quiet but sharp. "Your best shouldn't leave bruises on a woman's heart." Before she could answer, Daniel appeared from the living room, holding a glass of wine, looking annoyed. "Emily, why are you sitting here? Mom said you were fine." I turned toward him. She was shivering. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Mom didn't mean anything. Just tradition. The family sits together during the opening toast." "And your wife isn't part of that family?" I asked. His silence was answer enough. The moment everything broke, Emily stepped forward, voice fragile. "Daniel, do you think of me as part of your family?" He hesitated. Actually hesitated. "Well, you know how my family is," he said. "They have expectations." I closed my eyes. Emily closed her heart. I watched the hope drain out of her, like someone blew out the last candle inside her. And that was it. The moment everything in her finally snapped. "I want to go home," she whispered. Daniel looked confused. "The dinner hasn't even started." "I don't care." Her voice trembled, but it was stronger than I'd heard in a long time. "I'm done pretending I fit where I'm not wanted." Daniel's mother gasped dramatically. "Emily, don't make a scene." But she already was. A quiet, brave, beautiful scene. I took her hand gently. "Let's go, sweetheart." Daniel grabbed her arm. "You're overreacting. Come sit with us." I stepped between them. "She's not overreacting. She's freezing." Emily lifted her chin. "And I'm lonely in a room full of people." Daniel's hand dropped. He didn't fight for her. He didn't follow her. He didn't apologize. He just let her walk away. And that told me everything. Home for Christmas. My house was small, 2 bedrooms, mismatched furniture, the smell of fresh coffee, and a Christmas tree decorated with old ornaments from dollar stores. But the moment Emily walked in, something in her shoulders relaxed. She sat by my little electric fireplace, nothing fancy, nothing rich, and held her frozen hands out. "I'm sorry," she whispered suddenly. "I didn't mean to worry you." I brushed her hair back. "Honey, you don't have to apologize for being hurt." She leaned against me, tears soaking my sweater. "I feel invisible there, Mom." "You're not invisible to me." She shook with a quiet, painful sob. "Why don't they love me?" I held her tighter. "Because they don't know how to love someone who doesn't serve their ego." She lifted her face. "Do you think I made a mistake marrying him?" I hesitated. But mothers shouldn't lie just to keep peace. "I think," I said softly, "you stopped choosing yourself a long time ago." Her lips trembled. "I want my life back." "And you'll get it," I whispered. "I'm right here. We'll figure everything out." Christmas Eve passed in softness, just soup, blankets, and silence. But for the first time in years, my daughter slept peacefully. The morning after Christmas Eve, Emily woke up on my living room couch, wrapped in one of the quilts my mother made years ago. She looked softer, less tense, but still fragile, like someone who had cried themselves empty. I was in the kitchen making pancakes when she walked in. "Good morning, baby," I said. She managed a tiny smile. I can't remember the last time I woke up without someone yelling at me for something. That sentence stabbed me right through the ribs. Yelling? "Daniel?" I asked gently, trying not to sound alarmed. She shook her head. "His mother. His father. His aunt. Anyone, really. Someone always has something to say." She sat at the table, fingers tracing the wood grain the way she used to as a child. "I didn't realize how quiet your house is," she whispered. "It's quiet because no one's competing to be the loudest," I said. She nodded, eyes heavy. I set a plate in front of her. "Eat." She stared at the pancakes like they were a miracle. "No one's made breakfast for me in I don't know how long." That's when she began to crumble again. Quiet tears sliding down her cheeks, falling onto her hands. "Sweetheart." She shook her head quickly. "I'm okay. I'm okay. I forgot what being cared for feels like." I sat down beside her. "You deserve care every day," I whispered. "And love that doesn't make you shrink." Her lips trembled. "I want to be myself again, Mom. I want to feel like I matter." "You do," I said. "More than you know." She took a shaky breath. "What do I do now?" "We take it one step at a time," I said. "One choice at a time. And the first choice is simple. You don't go back to that house today." Her shoulders sagged with relief. "But Daniel will." Before she could finish, my phone buzzed. The first call from Daniel. The caller ID flashed. Daniel Weston. I felt my jaw clench. Emily went pale. "Don't answer," she whispered. But I did. "Hello." Daniel's voice was laced with annoyance. No warmth, no worry. "Where's Emily?" She left without saying a word. "Mom's furious." I stepped into the hallway so Emily wouldn't hear the contempt dripping from his voice. "She didn't leave," I said evenly. "She came to my house. Because she was freezing." "It wasn't that cold," he snapped. "She was shivering," I said. "She could barely move her fingers." He sighed as if I were inconveniencing him. "Look, my family isn't perfect, but they're trying." "No, Daniel. They're not. They're controlling. Cruel. And you let them treat her like she's beneath them. That's not fair." "That's the truth." Silence. A long one. Then, "Put her on the phone," he demanded. "No." His voice sharpened. "She's my wife. And she's my daughter," I said calmly. "And she is not ready to talk to you." Another heavy pause. "Fine," he said. "But she needs to come back so we can talk in person." "No," I said again, firmer. "Right now, Emily needs space. Then, quietly and dangerously, he said, "Don't turn my wife against me." My chest filled with cold fire. "I don't have to," I replied. "You did that all by yourself." I hung up before he could say another word. When I turned around, Emily was standing behind me, pale, shaking, eyes full. "Mom, thank you," she whispered. I pulled her into a tight hug. "I'm not letting anyone hurt you again," I said. "Ever." The second call, from the Weston matriarch, came an hour later. This time I didn't even hesitate before declining the call. But the voicemail came through, her voice sharp enough to slice paper. "This is Linda Weston. You had no right to take Emily away from her home. If she's upset, it's because you're filling her head with ideas. We are her family now, whether you like it or not. And we expect her back today." Emily listened to the message with a blank expression. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She simply whispered, "I don't ever want to go back there." A quiet truth finally spoken. We sat on the couch. I kept my voice soft. "Emily, has this been happening the whole time? Since the wedding?" She nodded slowly. "Every day gets a little smaller," she said. "At first, they only commented on little things, my clothes, my cooking, my job. Then they started telling me who I could see, how long I could visit you, what I should post, how I should behave at dinner." Her breath shook. "And Daniel would always say, 'Just ignore them. They're old-fashioned.' But he never asked them to stop. He never stood up for me." She wiped her eyes. "When I cried, he'd say I was being dramatic. My heart broke all over again. And lately," she continued, "his mother has been pushing us to have kids. But I'm scared to bring a baby into that house." I took her hand. "You are brave for saying that." She looked at me, her eyes raw. "Do you think he loves me?" I thought carefully. "Daniel may care about you, but love is action, choices, protection. And he has chosen his family every time." Her lips pressed together tightly. "I think I've been pretending for so long I forgot what real love looks like," she whispered. "I'll show you," I said. "Not through words. Through what happens next." The Westons escalate. By noon, Daniel had sent 8 messages. His mother had sent 4 emails. His father had sent one terse, threatening line. "Emily, if you walk away from this family, you will regret it." She read it, then quietly placed my phone back on the table. "Mom, I want to talk to someone. A counselor. Or a lawyer. I don't know. You'll get both if you want," I said immediately. She nodded slowly, tears filling again, but this time not weakness tears. These were decision tears. "I'm ready, Mom," she said softly. "I'm ready to take my life back." And then, someone pounded on my door. Hard. Emily stiffened. I looked through the peephole. Daniel. The confrontation on my doorstep. I opened the door only halfway. Daniel looked furious. Eyes wild, hair messy, breath fogging in the cold. "Where is she?" he demanded. "Inside. Resting," I said. "I need to see her." "She doesn't want to see you right now." His voice rose. "She's my wife. And she's a human being, Daniel. Not property." He shoved past me. But I blocked him physically. And I wasn't moving. "You either calm down," I said steadily, "or you leave." He looked stunned that I'd dare stand up to him. "You're poisoning her against us," he snapped. "If telling the truth is poison, then your marriage was dead long before last night." He pointed a finger at me. "You don't get to take her away from me." Behind me, a small voice said, "She left on her own." Daniel froze. Emily stepped into view, small, fragile, but standing tall. "Emily, thank God, come home," he said, reaching for her arm. She stepped back. "No." His face contorted. "What do you mean?" "No." "I mean no," she said, voice shaking but firm. "I am not coming back to that house. But my family is not my family," she whispered. He stared at her like she had slapped him. "You're choosing her?" he spat, motioning to me. Emily took a deep breath. I'm choosing me, she said. Maybe for the first time. Daniel's voice cracked, angry and desperate. You're going to regret this. She shook her head. No, Daniel. I regretted staying. The silence that followed was sharp and painful. He looked at her, really looked, and realized she meant it. But instead of apologizing, instead of softening, he turned cold. Fine, he said, jaw tight. If you leave, don't expect the Westons to welcome you back. I don't, she whispered. He turned and stormed off, slamming his car door so hard the windows shook. Emily watched the car drive away. Then she collapsed into me, sobbing. You did so good, I whispered, holding her tight. So good. A new beginning in a small apartment. We made tea. We sat side by side on the couch, legs touching lightly like when she was a child. I feel empty, she said quietly. Like everything I believed in just fell apart. That's what happens, I said softly, when a cage finally opens. She nodded slowly. I don't know what comes next. You don't have to. We'll figure out one day at a time. She leaned against my shoulder. And Mom. Yes, sweetheart. Thank you for finding me last night. I kissed her hair. I will always find you. And for the first time in years, Emily looked like she believed me. The first morning she felt free and terrified. On the morning of December 26th, Emily sat at the small kitchen table in her soft pajamas, looking out the window at the gently falling snow. She held a warm mug of tea, but her hands were still trembling, not from cold, but from everything she had just walked away from. You don't have to rush into decisions today, I reminded her. You're safe here. She nodded, eyes fixed quietly on the snowflakes drifting down like soft confetti. I forget what safe feels like, she whispered. She sipped her tea. A small smile flickered. This tastes like childhood. I smiled. You used to steal sips from my cup when you were 6. She laughed, a soft, tired laugh. I remember. Her smile faded slowly, replaced with the worry she had been pushing down. Mom, what if he tries to come back? Or tries to get me to return? We'll deal with it, I said. And you won't be alone. She nodded, but the fear in her eyes didn't disappear. She wasn't afraid of Daniel hurting her physically. She was afraid of the guilt he might use. The promises. They all change. The pressure from his family. The Westons were experts at pushing people back into place. But Emily wasn't going back. Not this time. A visit to her old house. After breakfast, she looked at me nervously. Mom, I left all my things there. My clothes. My laptop. My documents. Everything. You want to get them? Her eyes filled with hesitation. I can't go alone. You're not going alone, I said immediately. We drove to the Weston house together. She sat in the passenger seat, twisting her fingers the entire way. What if they yell? She whispered. Then I'll yell louder. She cracked the ghost of a smile. We pulled into the long driveway lined with trimmed hedges and stone planters. The house looked the same. Clean, quiet, grand, but something about it felt different today. It felt like a place she no longer belonged. It felt like a place that had lost its claim over her. The Weston confrontation. When she unlocked the door and we stepped inside, the atmosphere hit us immediately. Tight. Heavy. Like the house itself disapproved of her coming back. We heard footsteps. Fast approaching. Linda Weston appeared at the end of the hallway. Dressed impeccably as always, hair perfect, expression sharp. Well, she said coldly. Look who finally decided to show up. Emily froze beside me. I stepped slightly in front of her. We're just here for her belongings, I said. Linda narrowed her eyes. You think you can walk in and out of this family like it's some hotel? Emily, you owe us an explanation. Emily swallowed. I don't owe you anything, she said quietly but firmly. Linda's lips tightened. Daniel is heartbroken, she said dramatically, hand touching her chest. He's embarrassed. You humiliated him in front of the whole family." "He embarrassed himself," Emily said, voice trembling but strong, "by letting me freeze outside your blazing fireplace party." Linda scoffed. "Oh please. You're being dramatic." I stepped forward. "She was shaking so badly she could barely talk," I said. "And you all sat by a fire hot enough to melt chocolate." Linda's eyes flashed. "This is all your mother's influence," she said sharply. "She's turning you against us." Emily shook her head. "No. You turned me against you." Just then heavy footsteps echoed from the stairs. Daniel appeared. His hair was messy, his eyes tired but not sad. Angry. He said. "We need to talk." "No," she said immediately. "I just want my things." His jaw flexed. "Fine. But after that we're sitting down like adults." She flinched. "We'll see," she said quietly. He glared at me, then at her, then stormed upstairs. Linda looked at Emily with pure contempt. "You're making the biggest mistake of your life," she hissed. Emily lifted her chin. "No. I'm finally fixing it." That was the moment I knew. My daughter was coming back to herself. The room that no longer felt like hers. We went upstairs to the bedroom Emily once shared with him. The moment she saw it, she stopped and covered her mouth. The room was spotless. Too spotless. Her things were no longer on her side of the dresser. Her makeup was gone from the vanity. Her quilt, the one she loved, had been replaced with a new crisp white comforter that matched the Weston's aesthetic. "Mom," she whispered. "It's like I never lived here." My stomach dropped. "Where are your things?" I asked. She walked to the closet slowly. The door opened with a soft click. Her clothes were stuffed into 3 black trash bags on the floor. Not folded. Not hung. Stuffed. Emily knelt down, hands shaking. They put them in trash bags?" I knelt beside her. "Honey, they've never respected you. This just shows it." She looked like a piece of her heart cracked. I touched her back softly. "Take your time. I'm right here." She nodded, breathing hard. "Mom." "Yes, sweetheart." "I want out," she whispered. "I want out of this marriage." My chest tightened, but with relief. "You will," I said. "We'll get you a lawyer." We weren't alone in the room. That's when we heard someone else in the hallway. We turned. Daniel stood there, arms crossed, watching us. "That's why you came back?" he asked quietly. "To take your stuff and run to your mother like a child?" Emily stood slowly. "I came to take the things that belong to me." "And what about me?" Daniel asked, stepping closer. "What about the vows you made?" Emily's voice cracked but stayed steady. "Vows don't mean anything when only one person keeps them." He looked genuinely stunned. "Emily, I didn't do anything wrong." She stared at him, broken, tired, done. "It's always about what you didn't do," she whispered. "Not about what you should have done." He swallowed hard. "Come home," he said, voice soft for the first time. "This isn't my home," she said. "Not anymore." His face tightened, anger returning. "You're so ungrateful," he hissed. I stepped forward. "Don't talk to her like that." He pointed at me. "You stay out of this." Emily stepped between us. "No," she said. "She's in this. Because she's the only one who has ever protected me." Daniel's jaw clenched so hard his teeth might have cracked. "This isn't over," he said. Emily looked him dead in the eyes. "It is for me." The secret in the drawer. When Daniel stomped out of the room, Emily sat on the edge of the bed, catching her breath. "I need a minute," she whispered. "Take all the minutes you need," I said. She nodded, wiping her eyes. That's when her gaze drifted toward the nightstand, the drawer she once kept her journals in. Curious, she opened it. But it wasn't her things inside. Instead, receipts, bank papers, a folder labeled with Daniel's name, or a thick stack of printed emails. Emily frowned. "What is all this?" She picked up the papers, scanning them. Her face drained of color. "Mom! What is it?" Her voice broke. "He's been tracking my spending." My stomach twisted. "What do you mean tracking?" She held up a spreadsheet, color-coded, dated. Every dollar I spent. Every place I went. Every online order. He printed it all and kept notes like I'm one of his employees. Her hands began to shake violently. "It says things like unnecessary purchase. Question later. Wasteful. Did she ask permission? Permission." He'd been treating her like property. "That's not all," she whispered, digging deeper. Then her breath hitched. "What now, sweetheart?" She pulled out a printed email. From his mother. The subject line. "Keep her in line." My blood went cold. "Mom, look at this." Her voice trembled as she read it almost silently. "Emily is becoming too independent. Remind her of her responsibilities. If she starts asking questions, cut back her access to the cards. She should be grateful we allowed her into this family." My hands curled into fists. This wasn't just emotional manipulation. This was control. Monitoring. Financial abuse. "Mom," Emily whispered. "What kind of marriage was I living in?" I put my hand over hers. "A prison," I said softly. "And you just escaped." Her eyes filled with tears, not sadness this time. Recognition. Realization. Strength. "I'm not going back," she said. "Not ever." Leaving for the last time. We packed everything. Trash bags, boxes, documents, her art supplies she thought she'd lost. As we carried the last bag out, Linda appeared at the top of the stairs. Her voice sliced the air. "You'll come crawling back." Emily didn't pause. Didn't flinch. Didn't turn around. She walked straight toward the front door and said clearly, "No. I'm finally walking forward." We stepped outside. For the first time in years, the cold winter air didn't look frightening to her. It looked like freedom. The next morning I woke up early, long before the sun rose, long before anyone else in that house stirred. On the other side of the thin guest room wall, I could hear muffled laughter from the kitchen. Someone was awake. Someone was laughing. At this hour, I sat up confused. It wasn't until I stepped into the hallway that I realized who it was. Candace, Ethan's mother. Her laugh was sharp, slicing through the quiet house like a knife. And her words, oh, her words were even sharper. "Honestly, Matt," she said between chuckles, "if she wanted warmth so badly last night, she should have brought her own blanket. I mean, who forgets a coat in December? It's almost like she wanted attention." I froze at the bottom of the stairs. Matt, her husband, murmured something, but I couldn't hear what. Candace kept going. "She's too sensitive. That girl cries over everything. And Ethan? He spoils her. I told him that. She needs to toughen up." I felt something enormous rise inside my chest. Anger, fear, heartbreak, all tangled together. My daughter's pain was their joke. Her shivering had been entertainment. Her silence had been convenient. And then Candace added the final blow. If she's going to live under our roof for Christmas, she'd better learn how to fit in with the rest of us. No one wants an emotional guest ruining the holiday. I stepped into the kitchen doorway. "Good morning," I said, my voice steady but vibrating on the edge of controlled fury. Candace turned startled. But then she smiled, that fake, sugary smile she wore like armor. "Well, good morning. Did you sleep well?" I stared at her for a long time before answering. "I slept fine, thank you." I didn't ask her how she slept. I already knew she slept like someone who enjoyed the discomfort of others. As I poured myself a cup of coffee, she hovered beside me like a shadow. "We'll be having a little brunch later," she chirped. "Family only." I set the coffee pot down slowly. "I'm family," I said. She paused, blinking, measuring. Then, "Well, yes, technically. But this is more of an inner circle thing." Inner circle. I almost laughed. I wanted to say, "My daughter is lying awake upstairs right now trying not to cry." That's my inner circle. But instead I gave a small nod. A mother doesn't explode at the wrong moment. She waits. She watches. She learns the terrain of the enemy before she chooses her battlefield. I went upstairs to check on Lucy. She was worse than yesterday. Lucy was sitting at the edge of the bed, wrapped in a blanket, looking pale. Her eyes were red, her breathing tight and shallow. "Sweetheart," I whispered. She looked up. And oh God, she looked so defeated. "Mom," she said. And then she broke. She leaned forward, pressing her forehead against my chest, shaking with silent sobs. "I tried," she whispered. "I tried so hard not to upset anyone. I didn't complain about being cold. I didn't ask them to stop laughing. I just tried to be good." The words cut me open. I held her tighter. "You were good," I said. "You have nothing to apologize for." She shook her head. "Ethan said I'm overreacting, that I embarrassed him by acting miserable. He said his family thinks I'm dramatic." I pulled back and held her face in my hands. "Lucy being mistreated isn't called being dramatic." She swallowed hard. I don't want to ruin things. I want them to like me." I kissed her forehead, my chest burning. "They don't have to like you," I said. "But they will not treat you like this in front of me." I confront Ethan. When Ethan finally woke up, he came downstairs yawning like he was king of the house. "Morning," he said. "My mom's making quiche." I didn't respond. I stood in front of him, blocking his path. His smile faltered. Is something wrong?" "Yes," I said. "We need to talk." He sighed, loudly, dramatically, as if I'd already inconvenienced him. "Can this wait? I haven't eaten yet." "No," I said. He muttered something under his breath but followed me to the dining room. I shut the door behind us. When he turned around to face me, he looked slightly annoyed, slightly nervous, and entirely unprepared for the storm he was about to meet. I didn't yell. I didn't raise my voice. Quiet anger is the kind that hits the hardest. "Last night," I said, "my daughter nearly got hypothermia walking to your house, and while she shivered on your porch, your family laughed." He shifted uncomfortably. "I mean, they weren't laughing at her. They were just laughing. She was crying," I said. "She was shaking." He rolled his eyes. Actually rolled his eyes. "She exaggerates. She's always been emotional. You know that." I stepped closer. Another inch and he would have backed away. "I know my daughter," I said. "And I know when she's hurting. What I don't know is why you let her stand outside like that. Why you didn't open the door." He frowned. "They thought she was being dramatic." "I'm not asking what they thought," I said. "I'm asking what you did." His face twisted, irritated. "I didn't want to argue with my parents. They said she was making a scene." "She wasn't making a scene," I said. "She was freezing. And you chose to protect their feelings instead of protecting your wife." He groaned, rubbing his face. "You don't understand how things work here." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said. "Your mother rules this house and everyone else bends." He stiffened. "That's not fair." "No," I said. "What's not fair is watching my daughter get humiliated, while the man who promised to love her does nothing." His face went red. "Look," he said. "Maybe she's not the right fit for my family. She's sensitive. They're stronger." I stared at him, stunned. Sensitive. As if that were a flaw. "She needs warmth," I said. "Love. Support." He shrugged. "We all grew up tough. She'll adapt eventually." I exhaled slowly. "You don't toughen someone by breaking them." He said nothing, just looked away. And in that moment, that cold, indifferent silence, I realized something painful. Ethan didn't love Lucy the way she loved him. Or if he did, he loved her weakly, in a way that bent to convenience, not conviction. The breaking point. That afternoon when Lucy came downstairs for brunch, wrapped in a sweater and trying to look composed, Candace gave her a once-over and said, "Oh good, You managed to dress yourself warmly today. In front of everyone. The laughter was instant. Ethan didn't defend her. He didn't say a word. Lucy shrank back like she'd been slapped. And that was the moment I made up my mind. She wasn't staying here. Not one more night. Christmas or not. Family or not. I wouldn't let them break her spirit. Not under my watch. I made the decision. Later that evening, while the family gathered around the fireplace again, laughing loudly, smugly, as if cruelty were their entertainment of choice, I quietly packed Lucy's bag. She didn't even ask questions. She just looked at me and whispered, "Are we leaving?" I brushed her hair back gently. "Yes," I said. "Tonight." Her lips trembled. "But what about Ethan?" I paused. And then I said the truest thing a mother can say. "Sweetheart, if he wanted to protect you, he would have done it already." The sun had already set by the time the house came alive again. Christmas lights blinked in soft patterns across the living room windows, shadows glowing against the snow outside. Inside, the fireplace roared, too bright, too warm, too loud. It felt wrong that the fire crackled so happily in a house where my daughter had cried herself into exhaustion. Lucy sat quietly beside me on the edge of the bed as I zipped her suitcase shut. Her eyes were glassy but steadier than before, as if she were clinging to a small piece of hope. "Mom," she whispered, "are you sure? I don't want drama. I don't want them to hate me even more." I took her hands in mine. "Let them. People who treat you like this were never going to love you anyway." Her lip trembled. "But Ethan." I squeezed her hands gently, firmly. "A man who lets the world mock his wife isn't a husband. He's a bystander." She closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. And then the laughter started downstairs. Loud, open, cruel. The same laughter she heard while she froze on the porch. The same laughter that echoed in her mind all night. Her shoulders trembled. I didn't wait another second. "Come on," I said softly. "Let's go." But we never reached the door. We stepped into the hallway quietly, Lucy clutching her small suitcase like it was a lifeline. I had barely taken 3 steps when we heard footsteps behind us. "Where are you going, Ethan?" His voice echoed sharper than the frost outside. Lucy froze. I turned slowly. He stood at the top of the stairs, hair messy, expression confused, and underneath it the faintest glimmer of annoyance. "The family is waiting for us," he said. "Mom made hot chocolate. You're coming downstairs." "No," I said. Lucy flinched. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean exactly that," I said. "We're leaving." He stared at the suitcase in Lucy's hand, then at me. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "No," I said, my voice calm. "I'm protecting my daughter. She doesn't need protection. She needs to stop being." He stopped himself. But the word hung there, heavy and poisonous. Dramatic. Overly emotional. Too soft. Lucy lowered her head. Ashamed of a crime she never committed. I stepped between them. "Don't finish that sentence." Ethan exhaled sharply and ran a hand through his hair. "Look, Mom didn't mean anything. She jokes like that with everyone. You're just..." "No," I said again, firmer this time. "This family doesn't joke. They belittle. They mask cruelty with laughter." He opened his mouth to argue when his mother's voice floated up from downstairs. "Ethan, bring them down here. We're waiting." He swallowed, jaw clenching. "Come on," he said to Lucy, softer now. "Don't make this weird." Her voice barely left her lips. "I'm not trying to make anything weird. I don't feel welcome here." Ethan sighed, exasperated. "You're overthinking it, Lou. You always do." She flinched again. And that was it. I took her suitcase from her hand. "Let's go." The fireplace scene. When we reached the bottom of the stairs, the family was gathered around the fireplace, the same warm glow that felt so mocking last night. Candace sat in an armchair like a queen waiting for her audience. Then she saw the suitcase. Her eyebrows shot up. "What's this?" she asked, her tone dripping with theatrical disbelief. "Is someone running away?" Lucy shrank behind me. I stepped forward. "We're leaving," I said plainly. Every head in the room turned. Silence fell heavy. Candace blinked once, twice, and then laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, come on," she said. "Is this because she forgot her coat?" Goodness gracious, I didn't know we were hosting children. The room chuckled. Lucy's eyes filled. I felt heat rise at the back of my neck. "No," I said quietly. "This is because of how you treat my daughter." Candace tilted her head, smiling like she knew she'd win. "And how's that?" "Like she's entertainment," I said. "Like her pain is a show. Like her discomfort is funny." Ethan's father scoffed. "She needs a thicker skin." Candace nodded in agreement. "Life is hard, dear," she said. "We're teaching her strength." I stepped closer, my voice barely above a whisper. "You don't teach strength by laughing at a freezing girl on your porch." The entire room went still. Candace's smile faltered for the first time. Ethan stepped forward quickly, desperate to control the moment. "Guys, stop. Mom didn't mean anything. Lucy's being sensitive, that's all." Lucy's breath hitched. That single sentence broke something inside her. She sank onto the edge of a chair. Eyes filled with tears she tried desperately to swallow. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry I make everything hard." And that, hearing my daughter apologize for being hurt, ignited something volcanic inside me. I turned on Ethan. "No. You don't speak to her that way. You don't blame her for wounds you helped cause." He bristled. "What am I supposed to do? I can't fight my whole family." "Yes," I said. "You can. Or you can stand quietly while they break the woman you promised to love." The room fell into stunned silence. Candace stood abruptly. "You do not talk to my son like that in my house." I faced her without flinching. "I just did." Her eyes flared. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "Lucy, stop crying. Honestly, it's embarrassing." Lucy whimpered. I stepped beside her and lifted her suitcase. "She's not staying here another minute." Candace crossed her arms. "If she leaves, she might as well stay gone." Lucy broke into tears. And Ethan, he didn't move. He didn't argue. He didn't defend her. He just stood there, torn but rooted, as spineless as the night she shivered in the cold. I looked at him one last time. "Your silence is a choice," I said. "And so is mine." Then I held out my hand to my daughter. "Come with me." She stood slowly, wiping her eyes. "Okay," she whispered. We walked toward the door. Candace called after us. "You can't take the car. Ethan drove you." I turned calm and steady. "I don't need your car," I said. "I'll call a cab. Or I'll walk." "But she's leaving this house." Candace scoffed again. "Over some cold air? She's weak." I stared at her. "No," I said. "She's gentle. She's kind. And she's worth more than every cold heart in this room." And then I opened the door. A blast of winter wind rushed in, icy, sharp, fresh. Lucy shivered, but this time she stepped forward willingly, her hand clasped tightly in mine. I pulled the door behind us. Not slamming, just closing. Soft and final.